Hello YouTube, my name is Fag. Welcome to my channel. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And here we go. Here it is, NWR Product Showcase, the Tippmann A5 AR-15 kits. For those of you that don't know, Tippmann is a big manufacturer of paintball guns. This is by NWR Paintball. I like to go paintballing. I used to row with the local Army Recruiting Center when they went out paintballing. Yes, it can be painful. That's why you gotta wear thick clothes. Luckily, I never got stuck in the bushes. Sorry, couldn't help myself. But anyway, let's check out these Tippmann A5 AR-15 kits for their paintball guns, shall we? Ooh, look how pretty that is already. Look at that. That's a paintball gun kit. Look how nice that is. That is so cool looking. Sorry. Oh, there's another one. Look at that. Wait, it's a bit fatter than a normal AR to cut to to match up with the barrel. Right? That is still pretty decent looking. It's got like the rail system on top there, like the AR would. Right? They're the hopper for the paintballs, of course. You have the line for the gas or CO2. But look, even got a selector switch, which is probably the safety. That's cool looking.
Welcome back, guys. This is another video from the MWR channel. Today we're going to look at something that's way overdue. It's the A5AR MWR kits for the Tippmann A5. These are different parts.
Ooh, look at that. He might build one for us right in front of us. I'll bet that'd be cool to watch. Alright, here's there's one. That's the one we just looked at from the backside. But it's got like a red dot on there. That's nifty. Looks like it's a standard size rail with a red dot can fit on there. Although paintballs aren't typically that accurate for a red dot, but it's still fun to have, I guess.
Parts that we created over the time. Before we did TMC stuff, we actually created all sorts of...
Ooh, hang on, I wanna go back. One just caught my eye. Gotta suck at that slider thing.
Before we did TMC stuff.
That one right there, look at that one. That one caught my eye, look at it. That is so neat. And check this out. This one don't have the mag wheel in it, or the mag in it. But the mag, it looks like, holds the line for the CO2. That is sweet looking. Sorry about pausing it. Why is my videos turned down so much? Sorry about that, guys. I don't know why I'm doing that today.
We actually created all sorts of different parts for the A5 marker, which allowed you to make all
If it's too loud now, please let me know. No, adjust the volume if it's too loud now.
Sorts of different AR type paintball markers, and today we're going to look at two different options. The first one here is the engineer kit. That's a pre-made kit on the MWR website. So when you go on there, you can buy exactly what you see here. So you have a handguard, a upper receiver, a magazine, a stock, and a lower receiver. The second...
So basically everything you get in an AR just for paintballs. That is sweet. I wonder how easy that is to put together though, you know what I mean?
Kit we're going to look at is going to be a custom kit when you go on the other page that allows you to pick every single part. So you can pick a receiver, you can pick a handguard, you pick a magazine, stock, and a lower receiver, all independently, and other parts if you want. And you can make very different markers because of those custom options. Another thing that's worth looking at is which kind of A5 you own and which kind of A5 you want to use for this build. So I have two examples here. The first one, and this one is the one that we're going to cover in the video. We're going to use this one to build our two kits. It's a new gen A5, and it has the new gen grip and the new gen body. So what's important with that is when you pick your lower receiver, you want to pick the one that matches your trigger housing style. So this is an old gen, this is a new one, and they have some quite major differences of where the trigger guard will be. So when you choose your lower receiver, you want to choose the right one. So this one is made for the new.
Yes, please note this is a paintball gun, not a real firearm. Please be aware of that. This is not a real firearm, this is a paintball gun. So please don't balk me over that.
New gen, so the trigger lines up a little bit lower, and then if you try it on this, it just wouldn't look good at all. So these holes line up here, but the trigger guard does not. So that's the first thing, is you want to grab the right receiver. So that's an option when you select something that has a lower receiver on the A5. It always asks you have the old or the new. The other thing about the old A5 that you need to worry about is this little front lip. The new one doesn't have that. The lip was part of the little grip that was there, and it's removable. If you have this old style, you'll need to remove this with a hacksaw. If you want to put our handguard.
Yeah, that would suck, wouldn't it? Get the wrong one, have to take a hacksaw to it? Ugh. That'd be painful. But your paintball gun look cool afterwards, wouldn't it?
Adapter, it won't fit with that lip, and it will fit without the lip, so you'll need to remove that. Another thing that's pretty cool to note is that the kits do work with a response trigger, so if you do have that, feel free to purchase the kit anyways. So let's get on to the build.
Alright, now those of you that don't know what a response trigger is in paintballing, right? You see how you got the normal trigger, right? That is a normal trigger. A response trigger has a second finger group and is larger, where you can work your fingers back and forth. If you ever played bass or finger picking guitar, how you use two fingers, right? You can actually get almost like a on-rack type fire. It's a way to fire faster. That's what it means by response trigger, for those of you who don't know.
So now that you got your build manual open, we can take a look at the first step. The first step is to remove the lip on the old Gen A5. In this case, we don't need to do that, so we can skip to the second step, which is not included in the manual, is removing the cyclone. It's not necessary, you don't have to, but I think it just makes everything a little bit easier, so I will go ahead and remove that.
Now the cyclone, right, that's their version of a souped up hopper. It allows, if you look at it, right, typically your paintball hopper, the tube port is just a little bit bigger than your barrel. Allows one paintball at a time. This one, right, see how it's got these little gears inside there? Yeah, it holds a few paintballs at a time, and it'll rotate and drop it in as you fire. If I'm understanding that right, I never used this type of hopper setup, so I could be wrong about that. If I'm wrong, I apologize. I'm not an expert on paintball guns. I just like to mess around with them.
I will keep the screw here because that will be important for later. And then I'm going to remove the two screws that are on the mag release that are kind of pre-assembled for you, so you know where those screws go. But in the manual it doesn't say to remove them. But if you do leave them, you won't be able to feed the lower receiver onto the marker. It will block at the remote line. So other thing, remove the pins. While doing that, try to keep this screw in there. The hole here is for tightening the screw, but it doesn't allow the screw to come out. So if you forget to put the screw in there, you're gonna have to restart your build. Put the push pins in. That's the first step done. There you go. The second step will be to take your upper receiver, and notice how there's kind of a slide down action on the manual. So make sure to feed in the cocking handle first through the slot at an angle upwards like this, and then
a cocking handle, that is just a charging handle, right? You don't actually have to pre-charge a paintball gun, but it's there in case you want it. more for aesthetics than anything, really.
And push it a bit forward.
Now this has to do with that new hopper design he has over there. That could be it too. So, again, if I'm wrong, I apologize.
And don't forget to remove the pins in the back as well. There you go. Yeah, let's remove that for now. We'll come back to that later. We'll leave the pins out. We'll do the stock before we put those pins in. The next thing will be the handguard. So you remove these screws from your marker and you won't need them anymore. So we'll get the handguard ready. There's 2 screws that come out. Usually those are placed in the right place for you. A new thing that we've done is added these 2 little spacers. So that's not in the manual either. We'll try to add them soon. You put these into these slots for the original A5 screws.
So that's important. There's spacers that's not in the instruction manual. But the good thing we're watching this is you guys are like paintballing and want to do something like this. But the good thing to note that the manual is missing a few steps. So just let you guys know, if you ever get one of these, you want to do it, these spacers are not inside the manual. So, if you want a cool looking AR style paintball gun, remember that. Very important.
Really help clamp this to the body properly. You just slide that on like this. In case of having a longer handguard, you might want to put your barrel first, but in this case, for the shorty handguard, it's fine. You can put your barrel after, unless it's really, really short. Go ahead and tighten those 2. And then there's also 2 screws at the bottom, which are not super necessary. They might help you if you have a longer handguard to keep everything straight, but for this case, we're not going to put them. So those are the 2 screws at the bottom. And now it asks you to put the mag release back on. So it goes this way with the little grooves facing towards the grip. So just 1 screw on each side. This is a passive mag release. It doesn't automatically latch back. You have to manually set the mag release into position on the mag.
And for a paintball gun, that's just for aesthetic purposes, right? Because the magazine I have here will not actually hold anything. It'll just help hide the gas tube from the tank. You gotta remember, this thing has a big old tank that hangs off about, just from the size of this, it'll come out to about here, right? And then your CO2 tank will connect here to the gas tube and feed into the firing mechanism. Yeah, I know, you could just use it like that, right? Without having to put the extra barrel on there. That'd be pretty cool too, but your range be limited. But yeah, the mag, what you're talking about here, is just purely for aesthetics, right? If you want to make it look right, you kind of need it, but you don't have to have it on there.
Shouldn't move freely like that. Next step is to put on the stock and the cyclone back on. So we're going to start with the stock. So this is the collapsible SMG style stock. It has 3 positions and you have to move this little latch to get them to move along the rod. So once it clicks into place, the latch will hold into one of these grooves. To put on the stock, you need...
You know, the sad part of it is, that looks more secure than some of the stocks on regular firearms. You know what I mean? Some of those things you try to set up, they'll slide back and forth on you, and it's hard to get adjusted right. So that looks more secure than some actual firearm stocks.
To have it to the fully extended position. It also has an O-ring for a better seal. Pin, push rod and spring. Guide pin and put on the thumb pins. They should slide in pretty nicely. If they don't, there's a little trick that I like to do. You can loosen this screw under here while you're putting in the pins. You put in the pins or align the aluminum rods, and then once they're in, you can tighten this one, and that should keep its position. And then every time you take off the stock, it should slide in pretty easily.
Now that's a little trick that I didn't know about. That is cool. Oh, there's something new today. A new little trick for paintball modification I didn't know about. Sweet.
So that's the extended position on there. I'm gonna give it a tug, usually with your shoulder. That's the fully retracted position. So that's pretty much the Engineer A5 AR kit. So you put that in there and lock it into place. The last step is to add this little guy once we got the cyclone on, so don't forget that. You put your air, connect that into this, let's do it. And then you still have access to your velocity changer, and you can cover that with the, you can move this little port.
Now, what is talking about by a velocity changer, right? On the higher end paintball guns, you can actually change the barrel speed. Like if you're in a position where you're firing paintballs and they're busting as they come out of the barrel, you can turn that down. Or if you're not getting the range you need to hit your opponents, you can turn it up. Like if your paintballs are hitting but they're not busting when they hit your opponent, you increase that a little bit and then fix that problem, right? And it looks like this right here is powered by the gas cylinder. So it's not an actual electric mechanism. It looks like it feeds off the gas system, and each time you pull the trigger, it spins a new paintball into place. That's what it looks like. I never used a cyclone, so I couldn't really tell you for sure, but that's what it looks like to me.
To cover stuff. Gives it a cool look. So now that you've got the cyclone tightened, you can add this little connection. Stick your Allen key nice and deep in there. And your marker is complete. It's the Engineer kit. You can add some optics on there, grip. Looks pretty cool with that. For barrel choice, I like to run short barrel. Gives it a nice cool look.
Alright, that's what it looks like with the short barrel. Now, important note, paintball barrels typically just screw right into the housing. They're not like firearm barrels where you have to take the whole thing out to replace it. They just screw on and off. Typically for easy cleaning, especially have one pop inside the barrel or the chamber itself. It makes it easier to clean it out. Because paintballs will just pop. They're just vegetable-based water colors that will last but wash out easily from clothes, so it won't stain nothing. But they're surrounded by a gel capsule, right? And it was like extra moist that day or humid, they could soften them up on you. Just please, please, for the love of God, people, do not freeze your paintballs. Those hurt like hell. And you don't get counted out because they don't pop. So stop freezing your stupid paintballs, or you'll have me to face. Nah.
If you want something a little bit more stealthy looking, you can slide on a mock suppressor.
Ooh, a suppressor, look at that. They even got a mock suppressor for it. That is cool looking, ain't it?
So like this, squeeze, and you got your suppressed A5AR SMG. Mag remains removable at all times because it's not necessary. And then we'll play some paintball. We're gonna disassemble this, and then we're gonna look at the other custom A5AR. Right, so we're back to square one.
Alright, back to the base. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Looks like I got a new buttstock on this one. Alright. I wonder, he's not showing the longer barrel yet. I wonder what it looks like in that longer barrel. Looks like we got a new upper rail system over here. It's got the vented ports in it. Cool. Let's see how this one looks all together, shall we? I'm going to go say what I want. It was fun, though I did get a shot directly. Ow, Zip. Ooh, that sucks. Yeah, that's one of the few places that's hard to protect against paintball, right? I mean, you can get like rubberized gloves to help protect the back of your hands. You can wear thicker clothes, but your neck is almost always exposed, and it sucks to get hit there. I've been hitting side neck before, so I know what it feels like. Ooh. A little sorry for you, Zen. Whew. I bet that stung for quite a while. And you had him, Temple? I bet you had a hard time talking for a little bit too, without your throat being sore.
One with the basic A5, and I've left the upper receiver because we're going to be reusing it. So in this kit, I wanted to do something a little bit different. There's a longer handguard. It's a 250mm Bravo handguard. And we also have the classic MWR stock with the mount, but we've also added the MWR drop-down adapter. So we're going to be looking at that in the video as well. And instead of having a mag on this one, I went with the low profile lower receiver. So this one does not accept the fake mag, and it gives the marker a really sleek, super minimalistic look, but also quite nice and lengthy. So we're going to skip the first part because I've picked the same upper receiver. It is the upper receiver Bravo for the A5AR. So we're going to leave that on, and then we're going to add the lower receiver as our first step.
And again, just a reminder everybody, he's assuming a paintball gun, not a real firearm. So please remember that and don't balk me for it, please.
So again, keep in mind to leave the cyclone screw in there. There you go. So that's the first step done. Second step would be to put on this, and then the third step would be to put on the handguard. I'm gonna put on the little spacers again. Oh, and there's also a screw at the bottom here that's pre-placed. I'm gonna use it this time. So from the bottom.
Okay, this time you have to use the extra screw on the bottom to help support the weight. I can see that. Keep her flopping around or breaking. But I kind of like the look he's going for without the mag, right? I just want those things to worry about if you're in a competition. You don't want to accidentally hit that release and lose your mag or fake mag. You know what I mean? But I kind of like this look better for actual competition running, right? But if you want the mag, and want the mag look, definitely go for it. Just be aware that if you hit that release, you're gonna lose it. Especially if you're out in the woods or something like that, where it's hard to find stuff that falls off.
We use only one of the two. Two is a bit overkill.
I don't know. I think if it has the hole for it and you want the extra security, go ahead and put the second one in. Right? Each end's overkill, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. You know, because if you happen to drop it or something, you don't want it breaking. And every secure point helps prevent breakage or accidental breakage, you know what I mean?
It already looks pretty cool. Next step will be stock. Forgot to mention the stock pins are aluminum. These are specially made for these stocks. Pin. So it might be a little tricky.
The thing is putting in the back there, right? That rod and stuff. That is for the gas firing system. It operates you know how the gas return works on a regular firearm, right? That's pretty much how it works with CO2. Or you don't have an explosion beforehand. But gunpowder is just all air. So it's pretty much the same, just no firing pin or actual firing mechanism.
So I'm gonna put myself in a weird position. There you go. Forgot to put the barrel first. I think it'll still go on there. Now that is a marker.
Oh, that looks nice, doesn't it? Even without the mag, that looks nice. But you could probably put the mag with the longer barrel too if you wanted that aesthetic. That would look nice too. But I kind of like getting the pistol configuration myself. I think that probably looks the coolest. Probably because you can't find an actual AR pistol like that. That looks sweet, doesn't it? Look, it's got like a muzzle brake up here or a flash point. Not really needed for a paintball, but it looks cool anyway, doesn't it?
One last thing that you can add on this marker if you want to, and it is included when you buy the low profile lower, is this bottom rail that you can add much closer to the center of gravity. So you can add some type of grip a little bit closer to the center of gravity. A nice thing also that we have is this cyclone loader offset. It gives it a nice view of your optics. This will, keep everything in sight. Just that much is enough to see through your optic. Before that, you can really see half of it was covered. So I quite like that. I hope that you like this coverage of our A5 AR kit system. It's pretty modular, so there's a lot more options that you can do. There's shorter and longer barrels even. There's a SMG and a rifle style magazine that you can use. We showed the SMG and the low profile. There's different stocks. There's short ones, there's the collapsible one. The drop stocks are an option. There's also a stock mount that doesn't have this AR style fake charging handle. So if you don't want the whole kit, you can buy just the mount that kind of fits the body of the A5 with the rounded top. It's a lot more.
I don't know. I kind of like the charging handle look, don't you guys? I mean, if you're going for the AR aesthetic, you kind of want the AR charging handle look, don't you? I mean, that's the whole point of it, right? I mean, you can do without the mag, especially if you don't want to lose it. But you gotta have the charging handle to go for the look.
Low key than this one. And that's pretty much it. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that cleared up a lot of questions that you guys had about this kit. And we'll continue to do more stuff in the future. Gonna finish some TMC things, and then we're gonna move on to a different marker that I know you guys are very excited about. So I hope to see you there if you haven't gotten anything yet because you're waiting for that. That's pretty much it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, MWR Paintball. That was very enlightening. I very much enjoyed that AR aesthetic on a paintball gun. Sweet. Again, one last reminder, that was a paintball gun, not a real firearm. So please keep that in mind and don't balk me for it. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, now